HwangSin against Puma, map 2, is going to be played on Odyssey.
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 The map.
I like Odyssey.
We can call it Odyssey.
Yes,
I'll run with that for the rest of the day if you want.
Let's run with Odyssey.
Odyssey.
Odyssey. Okay, we go with Odyssey.
You know, I've been gathering these stats for our little balance sheet segment. Odyssey is proving to be the most Zerg biased map in our map pool. Zergs are like 6-0 on this map.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And
yeah, even Targa won on Odyssey.
Oh, Targa.
Targa's my buddy, guys.
Targa's watching right now. He's like, you suck, Rossi.
No, Targa is our friend. We had a lot of fun with him in Kiev. And he played very well, actually, against QXC on Odyssey. I remember that game. Kind of rolled over, but yeah, if you say that Zerg is 6-0, now it all makes sense.
They may have one loss to Terran on Odyssey, now that I think about it. But it's a very, very good Zerg map thus far in the season. And I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't seen more Zergs picking it after they lose. I would wager that it's just because few Zergs have much experience here. But it's a good map for Zerg. Easy to take third base for Zerg. Tough to defend third base for the other races.
And look at this, man. HwangSin was scouting Puma's main base, thinking that Puma wants to go CC first once again. So HwangSin is waiting. I think HwangSin wants to go Nexus first. And no, he's going to spot that barracks over here from Puma. Puma, as we often said, man, the king of mind games. And he's getting a pretty nice mind game off over here. Forcing HwangSin to go 50 Nexus. That's really early.
Man. So Puma goes 1 Rax, 1 gas. We might see
a 1-1-1.
We might. This would be a good time for it.
I agree. Well, Nexus first. If you can get enough units out. If I was HwangSin, the big problem is, if you play Nexus first against a 1-base Terran, what you would love to do is just throw down 6-7 gates and try to crush it, which is something that's definitely possible, certainly when you're forced to fight in the middle. So the siege tanks can't really siege up in a beautiful position over here somewhere near your natural. Big problem is, if your opponent goes Cloak Banshee, you're absolutely dead. So do you really want to take that sick nerd baller gamble?
I feel like Odyssey's a map where against a 1-1-1, you've got so many places where you can warp in behind it that it might be a little bit hard to pull off.
A little sloppy right there, just losing that probe. He wants to get the confirmation. What? Oh, proxy factory, so that also probably means or he's going to land the factory in the main.
We've seen him do this before. Puma's a guy that likes to do this kind of stuff. We saw him, I think it was in China also, where he built it at the corner of Shattered and floated it from his base to his opponents.
Yeah, which I think is super smart, but I like it even more when he gets a tech lab, because a Marauder poses a much bigger threat in a natural than a Marine does, because I really like the multi-prong aggression that Puma went for back then. Little bio hit squad in the natural, Hellions in the main base. It's so hard. What do you even focus as Protoss? What do you want to take care of? You can't kill the factory, but you have to worry about these bio units too. So I love that indeed, and it would be cool to see that, but come on Puma, tech lab, please. One time, baby.
He's making a Hellion.
He's going for Proxy Starport.
Proxy Starport.
So my first guess was right, man. You threw me off. I looked so smart.
Well, you're still smart, Kev, but I mean, if you just go off what we've seen.
Well, that's the nicest thing that anybody ever said to me. I didn't hear that since high school.
This did have all the fixins for a floating factory. This is even a good map for it, as there's so much area in the main base, and we can see HwangSin hasn't scouted any of it.
I agree. I would have loved that, but I still think this is going to be quite good as well.
Could also be just drop.
Yes.
He is making
so we
more
were
Hellions.
still sort of right.
It's a combination of the two.
And now Command Center, I think, is going up for Puma, since he has quite a bit of mineral saved up. So yeah, you're right. He's just going to drop these Hellions into the main base. And I kind of like this, because Protoss who goes Nexus first has very, very few units. So the moment you force him to deal straight away with 3-4 Hellions, that's a real pain. Now, for instance, we saw Night End against Cloud. Sorry for the shaky camera movement right there, guys. I was kind of daydreaming. Thinking about Night End versus Cloud, where Cloud hoped that Night End would have gone for a greedy expand, but instead Night End always plays safe, so he had enough gateway units out. HwangSin, on the other hand, he's producing from a single gate ban. This is going to be really tricky.
Oh man, it made it more tricky by the fact that Stalkers just don't kill Hellions. It takes such a long time. Here we go. Immediately HwangSin responds.
Oh, everything's lined up.
Oh, kick the tires and light the fires, Kev. Tom Cruise would be happy. Zealous chasing these Hellions around, but everything is still so lined up. It's pretty good micro by HwangSin, blocking those Hellions a bit, and so far he's only lost.
It's a lot already.
I shouldn't say only. 9 is a lot.
Definitely. The Zealot is going to take a lot of damage over here as well. Nice micro, of course, by Puma, as always, as we know him. And he's still worried about this main, since he never actually really brought those Stalkers. Then again, 31 against 27 is not that bad.
No, it's not. Especially with only the single orbital, as Puma still hasn't even finished his
But yeah, the biggest problem is that this is not over yet, and Puma is very likely. I mean, even if he would just suicide the Hellions right now, it's still very likely that he gets
5-6 more. Yeah.
Interesting build here by Puma, though. I like it, of course, but I didn't expect it. Didn't expect him to proxy both the Stargate or the Starport and the factory.
HwangSin is finally starting to get a little bit of macro going up to 3 gates, getting his Twilight Council down, so not a terrible spot to be in. Puma is going to be making some sort of big bio push later on. He's started +1 already. He's getting stim and combat shields.
Got another probe there. He's going to get a few more. Beautiful shot right there by Puma. As we mentioned before, the alien aggression is not over yet, and he's always going to get those additional probe kills. Look at all those probes.
Oh! Okay, surrounded.
I like that.
And dealt with. 15 probes died in total.
So I like that prediction of 6 more, man. It was spot on.
It was not bad.
Not bad at all. Good scout here by HwangSin. He's going to get a good idea of what's going on in the main base of Puma. Interesting, man. HwangSin is going for Blink. Now, just today, I've been talking with none other than Desro. And Desro has been showing me replays of a PvT style that he's been using on the career ladder. He said, this always works. It only fails against Code A Terrans or higher. Well, that's already something that I don't believe in, because I always believe that there are a ton of good players who are not in Code A or in Code S for that matter. But it's something you can save a lot of time with. Then again, we saw Hak going Blinkstalkers against Strelok. And if you do not get that first engagement off that you want, if you screw up once, it's almost impossible to recover.
Definitely Stalkers are fragile when dealing with things like Marauders, and Puma's going to have a few of those.
It's the Marauders with Medevacs. Ah. It's pretty bad.
What song were you singing? It sounded like a scary song.
Stim Marauders are pretty scary for Blinkstalkers, man.
Yep, as Puma is making his way out, HwangSin pulling back, getting ready to play some defense. Working on that double forge. If Puma drops and takes that out, that would be so frustrating.
He knows, though. He knows, and this is perfect for HwangSin.
Catches one medevac before it gets completely unloaded. Both medevacs go down, so no healing. Where's the stim? It's not finished yet. Oh, Puma, critical mistake. Attacking without stim.
Something going on in Netro as well, but I'm waiting for him to clear this up. But those were just a few bio units, so this went really well for HwangSin.
Yep.
HwangSin wants more, man.
Best case scenario for HwangSin. He has come out way ahead there. He's going to push with the Stalkers that he has and a handful of Zealots. How many gates is he working on? Just 3, but he's adding 3 more, feeling this opportunity to take the game.
Missed rally by Puma. He's going to sacrifice 2 more Marauders.
This is turning really good. Doesn't even need the blink. And Puma having to scramble, throwing up a bunker in his natural and taking a third. What?
Yeah. I was surprised by that. I was just about to check if HwangSin is aware of this yet, but he is not. And I think if he was, he would have definitely kept under pressure with those Blinkstalkers. Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's no reason for Puma to be able to get away with this, but HwangSin has not seen it.
I knew you would agree, but it just makes me feel good when you do.
I do agree, Kev. I agree emphatically.
I like it. 3 sentries being wiped in right now for HwangSin, so it seems like he's preparing for a really big gate push. Then again, he has double forge, so maybe he's not going to push. But if he knows that Puma is going to be on 3 bases...
His SCV just got obliterated by like 10 Stalker shots. Bad day to be an SCV. One thing I like about HwangSin's play is his observer positioning. He's got 2 observers in good spots, can see what's going on in Puma's base and also what's going on directly outside of it.
Yeah, but if you only could see what's going on over here.
If only he could just take a poke down there, maybe put that observer on patrol. If he saw that 3rd command center, you better believe he'd be doing something.
Very nice scan by Puma once more, guys. Gets a perfect idea of what's going on in HwangSin's base. He did see that before with his bio units, but still. And ooh, look at this factory, man. He's still there.
Yeah.
HwangSin has vision of his entire base. I like that.
I think HwangSin saw that scan. That's probably why he pulled all those Stalkers back. So often a scan does precede something like a drop or a Banshee, and HwangSin has the right idea, having units in position, but the wrong idea in that he still hasn't taken a 3rd or scouted Pumas, and the longer he waits, the more likely it is that he's going to be punished for making this mistake.
He's at 57 probes though, Puma only at 48 SCVs, but of course triple orbital, that's all you want. And as always, Puma always dropping those new Muse at his freshly required base, because even if he's going to have to give up this base eventually in a certain phase in the game, he at least didn't mind these minerals from over here. So small things like that, I keep repeating them, but all you Terran players out there, I still see it too often, man. Too many Muse in your natural.
Puma has finally taken a lead in terms of the army supply, so clawing his way back from the disadvantage he created for himself with that haphazard attack.
Actually, like, Puma's making a pretty sick read. It's kind of reminds me of... he scouted the robotics bay, never mind, with that scan, so he knows a Colossus tech is incoming. I would have really loved his HwangSin just stop Colossus production, get one Colossus, and try to get High Templars as quick as possible. Because you know that Terran is going to make a lot of Vikings after they scout your robotics bay. It's something that they cannot scout all the time, so they scout it once, and then they're going to trust in their instincts and what they have scouted. And how awesome would it have been for HwangSin if he had High Templars right now with Storm?
This would be an awkward time for HwangSin to defend. He's got one Colossus. But, well, I don't know. That army looks good enough against what Puma is poking around the map with.
He has 14 Zealots. The Zealots are over here. Charge is ready. And I guess when 2-2 is ready, he would have been fine. But, yeah, before that, it could have been a tricky fight.
Puma really macroing hard right now. His income is, wow, smashing HwangSin. 1,700 to 1,000.
Yeah, but HwangSin was transferring props.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. As HwangSin's natural is just now coming up. Still, though, about 500 resources per minute behind Puma, who is taking full benefit of, or full advantage of this 3 base and this triple orbital.
Poor HwangSin, man. He knows it's there. These stalkers want it. And his factory is like, I know you want it. Singing Pitbull, man.
Oh, man.
International love from Daybreak to Odyssey.
So if a stalker can't reach that factory, but the stalker can see that factory, and they like shoot off in that direction, does the tracer just disappear?
Yeah.
It's just like the bullet just stops?
You know, in Red Alert, you could always just attack random spots. Oh, this is going to be an ugly engagement for HwangSin.
Oh, one Colossus takes quite a bit of damage, losing all of his shields, half of its life. And now Puma's got a good position. He's going to get a few Zealots for free.
All those Zealots, though. This could have been worse for HwangSin. I think if Puma would have stimped, it would have been a lot worse for our Korean Protoss. So, this is a nice place to fight for all those Zealots, I'd say. Nice blink below those Vikings.
Oh, but the Colossi just go down so fast.
Force fields.
Big stem for Puma, and he does win that fight, convincing HwangSin, really dropping the ball on his force fields there. And Puma's going to continue to push forward. Scan sees one last Colossus. I guess he'll maybe wait for this next wave of reinforcements before he tries to push. No, he's just going to go right after the third.
2-2 is almost ready right now for Puma. It is ready, so that means that this bio is going to be more effective. He's going to take out these cannons. I do think that HwangSin might be able to hold, though. If the Zealots get a good engagement off Guardian Shield, force fields.
It was a pretty good blink. He picked off a couple of those Vikings before they really got into the fight. Big warp in for HwangSin. Puma at 140 supply, but it is dwindling.
Yeah, I like that warp in a lot. Those Zealots have been really effective. He needs to pick up actually units, though, because Stalkers need to pick up units one by one. Reinforcements coming in for Puma. It's starting to look tricky.
A couple of Marauders in the back. Very frustrating for those Stalkers to deal with. The Colossus finally shows up, and he'll clean it all up.
Yeah, that's the weapon he really needs as well. Those additional Zealots. Oh man, not even Tom Cruise could get away from this.
But in the midst of all of that, Puma dealt a lot of damage to the worker line in the third base. HwangSin down to 51 probes against 60, and of course you've got to deal with the mules. 25 probe kills total for the Terran player.
That's a really big deal, and High Templars are being wiped in right now. The Storm is being researched as well. 3-3 is on the way for HwangSin. If HwangSin would have only had that additional wipe in a little bit quicker, then he would have lost way fewer Stalkers, because he had a ton of Stalkers. But it doesn't matter how badly the Stalkers outnumber those Marauders. If there are enough Marauders to actually kill Stalkers with Medivacs, they stay alive for a while, and you lose way more than you should have had. Puma just smells another observer, kills it straight away.
Smells like hovering. Drops a scan, takes out that OBS.
But yeah, maybe, I'm not sure if he actually chrono boosted his gates during the fight or not, but he has 9 gates, and I think he was microing so actively that he didn't do it. But it's sometimes really worth to just tap to your base for a split second and chrono boost those gates, because I think in this case he would have lost less.
HwangSin has restabilized though, and he's working on getting that probe count back up once again. He's at 58 right now. 3 bases to 3 bases. Neither player really showing any signs of wanting a fourth yet. I'm a little bit surprised, as last time Puma was building command centers very aggressively.
I agree. Army supply, he does have a nice lead though. He's up around 20 supply. They have the exact same amount of workers. But the next fight we are going to have Archons. Then again, Puma's just waiting. He can probably, I'm not sure if he scanned the High Templar archives. Yes, he did. Every time Puma scans, he sees something. So he knows it's coming, and that's why he's staying back right now. His ghost production really starts to kick in.
We're also going to have +3 Vikings in the next
that's pretty
fight,
mad.
which means Colossi are basically going to evaporate. Puma's also well aware of, like you said, he's scanned the Templar archives, and his ghost tech is there. He's making ghosts 4 or 5 at a time. He's already got 4 out. and even finishing up his own 3-3 upgrade. So Puma's in a fine position in terms of his macro and in terms of his army.
Yeah. He's on 9 racks currently. Has 3, no, actually he's on 7 racks, sorry. He groups the starport and the factory. Or the starport. He has double starport. Wow. He has mad Viking production. I do not recommend going Colossus anymore for HwangSin, since there are almost 16 Vikings on the field. Well, 15 right now. And they all have +3. Or at least soon, so that's pretty mad.
Puma sees HwangSin taking a 4th base, and that is what cues the move out. He's got a large bioforce. That's maybe too many Vikings, Kev. He's got 15 Vikings.
I know it's an overkill, but as long as he lands those EMPs, he's going to be fine. Vikings on the ground actually do quite okay against Zealots. They have a lot of DPS. Wow, look at these. Ooh, I think some feedbacks went down because these medevacs lost all. Sorry, I missed them.
Tons of feedbacks. One medevac died. The others pretty much got zapped down to no energy, which is going to make this fight a little bit more complicated. Still, HwangSin's got to have great storms if he's gonna come out ahead here.
He does have vision though with that observer, and I really like that he's making a big deal out of his Selnaga watchtower. That he's basically saying like, hey man, I really need this Selnaga watchtower for vision, but he actually has the observer. And this time Puma's not aware of that. No.
Oh, doesn't matter. Scans the army, gets an observer. This is giving HwangSin time though. This way that he's sort of made the push stagnate in the middle of the map, and this means his 4th base will complete, and he can start getting some semblance of a 4-base economy rolling. We see the, well actually we haven't seen a probe transfer just yet, only a single probe going over there to build some cannons. Puma still headed in that direction. HwangSin maybe a bit out of position. He's standing in his natural. Puma scans the army perfectly. I don't know how he just knows.
Yeah, this is pretty bad. HwangSin is definitely going to lose this base. And he's already not that rich. As you can see, Puma has quite a bit of money banked up. HwangSin is quite broke, but it doesn't really matter. If this engagement goes perfect for HwangSin and he lands those key storms and those zealots get a nice position, then anything is possible. But we all know Puma's late game army control.
Cloaking on the Ghost, and the Vikings not all fighting just yet. Big stims going down. Haven't seen a storm yet.
No, EMP hit all of the High Templars.
And the Vikings just destroy the Colossi. Now they're going to land. And look at the Marauders work on the Stalkers and the Immortals. Ghost even staying alive. Puma crushes in that fight.
More Zealots coming in though, and that actually is going to get a little bit tricky since we still have that one Archon remaining as well. I think HwangSin didn't have a single observer. Puma doing a really good job microing this, of course, and Puma can afford to lose units much more than HwangSin can because Puma has way more money. And a really big mistake there by HwangSin though. He didn't have those additional observers. He lost his observer, and then Puma just activated personal cloaking. That's something that happens oh so often, and that's something that you can actually not afford in league games.
Those are some boss mode Ghosts, man. 4 kills, 3 kills, and
of course, man.
3 kills. So they're
Ghosts
definitely
with +3,
work.
and they're basically invincible in the fight.
Marauders have like 5 kills each though, so they're definitely paying off as well. So HwangSin has lost his 4th. He's pretty much mined out his main and his natural, so he's essentially on 1 base right now. Down in supply, down in pretty much every possible regard. Doesn't have any real hope of securing a 4th right now. I don't know what he can do.
Zealot Archon, big all in. I think that's what he's going for. Zealot Archon is Puma gets every scan, he gets the army of his opponent. It's almost getting ridiculous. But yeah, Zealot Archon is very, very cheap. It's probably the cheapest real strong army that Protoss can make. And that's the only way that he can make something happen. But yeah, Puma's army is already getting out of control. He's 101 supply right now against 52. You're not only going to need great storms, you're going to need great of everything. And Puma accidentally focusing his own Marauders for 5 seconds.
Man, and think for just a second how far behind Puma was at one point in this game. He really is one of the best TVPs in the world.
When do you think he was really far behind?
When he lost the drop.
Yeah, but he had a pretty good economy, and the Hellions dealt a lot of damage, so I don't think he was far behind.
I don't know. HwangSin's 3rd was up pretty fast. I really felt like HwangSin was in an okay position for a long time. But
if Puma wouldn't have had the start that he had, killing all those Hellions, and then the drop would have gone the way it did, then I agree with you. But Terran can afford to lose some mineral units by trying to drop, and it wasn't that bad. Obviously it wasn't cost effective, but it wasn't the biggest deal because by then Puma had a better economy. So.
Either way, Puma is on the move. He's got 180 supply, making his way into the 3rd base, the last mining base of HwangSin, and this will be his last stand.
Yep, he lands the storm. Oh, I love this small little hit spot by Puma. He's going to try to pick off High Templars, or at least probes. He gets a really good feel for the army of HwangSin right now.
Great, I'm sorry, snipes. Great snipes in the back there. And Puma just dancing around, trying to wait for the perfect engagement.
Wow. EMP Paradise. When it's only Archons, you'd love to get as many ghosts as possible, and that's exactly what happens.
And here we go still. Oh, big storm on top of those ghosts. That's not a good day to be a ghost.
Actually, HwangSin is doing pretty decent so far. He's going to try to whop in more Templars. Nice EMP right there by Puma.
Yeah, and this army is just so cost effective. Zealots do a great job and making it a little bit close, but after the ghost that EMP'd all the Archons, there's just not as much in the Protoss army to absorb damage. And Marines pushing forward, Marauders pushing forward, Medics working overtime. Looks like Puma's going to take this one, Kev.
Yep, Puma once more. Wow, a lot of Korean symbols right there. Of course, absolutely no idea what they mean, but I would say GG, 감사합니다.
You're a jerk.
No, he would never say that.
I don't know.
But yeah, really nice game by Puma. And I do think that if he would have had 1 or 2 observers in the middle of the game at that biggest fight, if he would have had an observer there and those ghosts which were cloaked all the time wouldn't have been able to get the EMPs off that they did and the damage that they did, then maybe it could have been a different game. But really well done by Puma sniping the observer, but a little bit sloppy by HwangSin only having 1 of them in the middle of the map.
It was very well played on both sides. I really felt like HwangSin was in an okay spot for a long time. But as it happens, Puma's the one that is the victor, taking it 2-0. That game brought to you guys by Azo Monitors. We are going to send it to a very short commercial break.